Welcome to my basement. In today's episode, we will look at how you can implement your own retro gaming magazine search engine. The idea is that if you have the digital versions of the issues you have, then you can extract the information or the text from those issues and make that text searchable so that you can find the game or hardware that you're looking for more easily than just plowing through all your magazines. So yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so let's demo the retro gaming magazine search I've created. It's the magazine search.py file, which you execute, and as an input you point it towards the search index you have created, and you point it towards the Foxit reader. The reason I use Foxit reader instead of Adobe is because it supports to open a specific PDF on a specific page from the command line. And the reason that is relevant is that every search result is a given page in a given magazine, so it's nice to open the PDF on the correct page when you're viewing the search result. Okay, so let's start. At the beginning it's asking you for a query, and let's query for a game that I bought recently for my C64. It's Outrun Europa. And as you can see, we get some hits. At the bottom you see that we have 58 results for our query, and you also see the commands that you are able to use when navigating the search results. So let's open a search result by pressing O. The ID, we can look at the first result, then we will look at the PDF file. As you see here, we've also extracted the images during processing, so you might just view the image as well, but since we can open the PDF on the correct page, I find that that is more useful. So here we are. The first result is from your Commodore magazine, and it's Outrun Europa, so at least the search is working. And it's a review of the game. It's gotten a pretty nice score of 92%. So that's a good hit. Instead of writing O for open and then the ID of the search result, you can just write the number of the search result 1 to 5 indirectly, like I do here, 2 for result 2 on this page, and then P for PDF. Okay, so let's see if there are some Outrun Europa relevant information here. And yeah, as you can see, there is a nice cover art and sales advert for the game here. To do a new query, you type S for search, and you can enter a new one. This was one of the best games in my youth, Theater Europe. It's a war game of sorts, so let's see if we can find something relevant there. Hitting 1 for search result 1, and let's see. Okay, so it's Theater Europe. It has an unknown price tag, apparently. And it's a war game, as it says here, and it shows some images from the game, which I recognize. And it's a good value for the money, even though they don't know what the price is at the beginning here. That's interesting. Okay, so let's look at the next. Okay, so this is from SAP magazine. It's also a relevant hit. Yeah, talks about the game a little bit and shows some screenshots. Moving on, you can also search for hardware and see what they talk about there. So let's search for the C65, which never entered the market, and see what the magazines had to say about that back in the day. So let's look at the first result. Okay, so it's a forum post from SAP. Sadness, probably the last C65 forum for the foreseeable future. The enhanced C64 project is currently being downplayed by Commodore. So, okay, so it's already dying here in December 91. Let's see other. So as you can see, it talks about the C65 for new stuff and a C64 for cassette-based golden oldies. This is also forum posts, so no sales adverts. Let's see the next page and see if you find something not from SAP magazine. Even though you're on page 2, it's either you can press open and then type 6, or you can just hit 1 and open the first result on this page as well. Okay, so let's see if we can find something interesting here. Could you give us any more info on the C65, or haven't you not heard about this yet? The most important thing I want to know is, will everything I bought so far be playable for the new C65? I hate to buy it all again. Okay, so it's still rumors. Okay, so let's do a new search, and we can try another console that I've never seen in real life, the C64 game system. Let's see what they did there. That actually got released to the market, at least. Okay, so it's a forum post as well to the Mighty One in Commodore format, where he asks about the C64. Okay, so let's do the second hit. Okay, so this is actually a review of the C64 GS. Nice. And you have a picture on how it looks and information about the console and the games which are available for it at launch, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so since I had a 128 when I grew up, I'll just try that as well. And we will do the first page. Okay, nice. This is exactly how my C128 looks like. And this is a tip and tips for your C128. Nice. As we just saw in the demo, we got some good search results, but how was it done? Firstly, we extract the images of the magazines we want to make searchable. Each page is stored as an image. Then each image is processed using OCR, or optical character recognition, to extract the text of the images. The extracted text files, one file per page, is indexed, meaning that it's stored in a way that makes it easily searchable. Then there is the search part, which we just demoed, that lets you find the information you are looking for from the index. Okay, so we'll demo the parsing part. Let's see, we have the 3 tools, the indexer, the parser, and the search, and this is the parsing part. So let's start that parser and see what it needs. You will have to give the following arguments: input and output. And if you type -h, you will see more detailed information on what it's looking for. So the input is the input directory of the magazines, where you're going to extract the images and run optical character recognition to to extract the text, the content of each page, and then the output is the output directory where you will store all the extracted images and text. Okay, so when we know that, we will see if we can find. I created just a small test for this demo because extracting all the images and text from hundreds of documents take a lot of time. So magazine search, and then I created a test folder with one magazine. Okay, so we have to do write -I and -O for output, workspace, magazine search, tests, output. Okay, so let's hit enter and see. So it's a Commodore user magazine from June '83, and the processing tool is extracting 10 and 10 pages, and the reason for that is so that we shall not run out of memory while processing the PDF. Okay, so we're finished, and we processed the magazine in about 10 minutes. Let's see if we can look at the output. Let me see. So as we can see, there is one output directory per magazine processed, and in this output directory you have a collection of pictures, which is one picture per page, and you have the corresponding text file, which is the text that is extracted by the optical character recognition used. So let's open one of them to see how it looks. Maybe page 89, I don't know. And as you can see, this is the text that is extracted, and it's not perfect. You see that this doesn't make much sense. There's also gibberish in the end here, but it's not too bad, and it's basically good enough for search. So that's how the tool works. Let's move on to the next. So when you have processed all the magazines and extracted the text, it's time to index the text using Linux commands as always. As you can see in this directory, I have the 3 tools, the magazine indexer, which we will look into now, the parser that parsed the text out of the PDFs previously, and then the search command line tool. So if we execute the indexer, see, you can see that it takes as input the parsed magazines, and then it takes the original magazines, and then an output directory where it will store the created index. The reason it needs the original magazines as well is that it will the index will also contain the path to the original magazine, so that you can open it from the search results. Okay, so let's just start here, and it's let me see, magazine search, and then the parsed ones are in the output directory. The magazines are in the input directory of the parser, which was basically just magazines. And then we need to specify where the index should be created. That we will do in the folder named index. Then it's just executing the script, and behold, gigantic bug in the program. This is also known as the demo effect and should not raise any big concerns. You always have to do small changes prior to demo, and they always break the demo. I have fixed the code hopefully offline, and we'll try again. So we see that it started to index the documents, and this will run for a while and create the data structure that enables us to search through all the magazines. As you see, it only processing the text files. I have extracted all the images as well, so for these images it's a total of 100 gigabytes of data, but it's mostly the images that's taking up all that space. The reason I have the images is that it's easy to point to the images from the search results and display those. But if you don't want that and just want to open the PDF on the given page instead, you can save a lot of disk space by removing the images. It might not be obvious, but the processing of the magazines is such that each page is extracted, and thus each page is indexed in the search engine. So a search hit will be a specific page in a specific magazine. So the magazine is not indexed as a whole. It's the unique pages that are indexed. That's why we have so many files, because there are over 100 pages per magazine. Now we're committing the index to disk, and in a short time we will have a searchable index. The index is committed, and if we go to the index directory, we can now see that the files are created. And the index is 311 megabytes, apparently. So as you can see, this indexing and searching of the gaming magazines works. So what's the next step? I actually tried to make a real UI application for this, but after fiddling with it for some time, I realized that VX-Python and the Python UI library I sort of know from the old days is somewhat broken on Windows, and thinking that about running a full web server in Django was a bit overkill, I just ended up creating this simple command line tool instead. However, if I find the time to invest in learning the Qt framework, I might revisit this in the future and create a real search front end. That would be nice. I've also not really looked into the extracted data to see if there is something I could do better, or if there are better extractions already available on the internet. There are also many search optimizations one can look at, such as stemming, lemmatization, stopword removal, and the list goes on. And the possibilities are almost endless in tweaking your relevance in a search engine. The idea is to get the best balance between the precision of your queries, meaning that the content that is returned is highly relevant, but also that the recall doesn't suffer too much, meaning that you actually get the search results returned when you do queries. So that was it for this time. Please let me know if there are some areas you want me to cover in more detail, and if you want me to go over the code more thoroughly, for instance. Okay, if you like content like this, please ensure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.